All right, guys, somebody sent me a video this morning. I have yet to watch it, but I do have it pulled up here. I'm going to share my screen in a minute here, but let me just read what it says. It says, Blue state leader sounds alarm about impact of law barring police from helping ICE. We all know that's the case. This is from Massachusetts State Senator Ryan Fatman, who is a Republican, and it says he's sounding the alarm. Let me just preface this video by saying this much, okay? Based on the conversations that I've had when it comes to politics here in Massachusetts and in Beacon Hill, so on and so forth, you know, anytime somebody goes to speak up about an issue that they're passionate about, or they want to file a bill for something they're passionate about, what happens is if it doesn't align with the ideology of the state or of these like lawmakers, these people get ostracized. Okay. Doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, by the way. But the fact is, because sometimes you have, I should follow up that by saying, sometimes you do have a more conservative Democrat that tries to do something and they try to pass said bill or whatever they're looking to do. And again, they become compromised to some point. And these people are supposed to be working for us, not the other way around. And, I'm kind of getting sick of that, to be honest with you. But anyway, let's watch this video. I'm just trying to prove the point that whatever this guy has to say, whatever this gentleman has to say, it took a lot of guts to do this because, again, it puts these people in a position where they are compromised. Okay. Let's see what he has to say.
So in 2017, the highest court in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the Supreme Judicial Court, made a ruling called the Lund decision. And essentially what they said was that because there was no specific statute on the books in Massachusetts, that federal immigration ICE detainers did not have to be honored and by local, municipal, and state police. And this created a large gap. They said if you want that policy to be put into place where ICE detainers are indeed honored, then create a law, legislature, Massachusetts General Court.
Yes.
And so that was 2017. I believe it was September. And a few months later, I filed an amendment to the state budget in which dangerous individuals, those who commit heinous crimes against individuals like murder, rape, domestic violence, serious crimes, that those situations could have ICE detainers honored when it came to dangerous people because they're felonies. They're crimes that are not acceptable in our society at the highest level. And we had that debate and it was voted down.
See?
So this has been an abdication for now 8 years where we have put the Commonwealth's residents in public safety jeopardy. And don't forget, we have a sad history in Massachusetts where we had September 11th launched. If federal authorities ever came to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts looking for terrorists or individuals who are dangerous, they should be respected and honored to do their job and carry out the oath of their office, which they took. And yet politicians in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts have prevented that from happening, and it is sickening. The way I look at this is there's been public incidents across the Commonwealth of Massachusetts of heinous crimes carried out at the hands of people who should not be in Massachusetts, people who are present illegally. And those crimes include rape, domestic violence, assault and battery on a woman who is pregnant. And our judiciary has not held these people in court when they are arraigned and justice is being carried out. They let them slip out the front and back door,
literally,
and avoid ICE and avoid federal law enforcement, who would then detain them and go through their process of law enforcement and judicial action. And so this is, I think, a situation that has become untenable politically for many people. Massachusetts is viewed as a blue state, but there are large swaths of purple and red parts of the state. And those places are just fed up. They're fed up as individuals watching the headlines, seeing that their neighbors are being assaulted. Pregnant women are being injured at the hands of people who are not lawfully present in our state or country. And we've welcomed them here. To add insult to injury, we have said, come here. We'll pay for you for your food,
He's
for
cooking.
your education, for your health care, and for your shelter. And it's cost billions of dollars. And we're getting to a critical mass where the pressure points are about at explosion. Our budgets can't be handled anymore on the local level. I represent 19 communities in the state Senate in Massachusetts. Most of them are looking at raising their property taxes because they can't fund education services
Yep.
for their children. They can't fund senior center services. They're having a difficult time due to the mandates that state government is placing on the municipalities to just do everyday cost of living as a town. That's unacceptable. We've spent $3 billion in the last several years, $3 million a day on people who are not our residents.
That's
And some of
crazy.
them, not the majority, but a good portion, have committed bad crimes, violent acts against our citizens. And so when people see these headlines, they're tired of it. They've had enough and they want change.
That's what I've said.
2026 may be a very good election in Massachusetts for the change agents, which are, quite frankly, reform Republicans who want to see the state go in a more fiscally conservative, publicly safe direction. We're calling it the SHIELD Act. The SHIELD Act that
I'm
I
going to look this
filed
up.
back in January is a law that states
Oh,
immigration, ICE
hang on.
detainers, federal authorities, and state and local police can work together. That it is the law of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts that when an ICE detainer is issued, that local law enforcement can act and that they can arrest somebody, they can detain them, and they can bring them to ICE to carry out justice. This doesn't say that those individuals
I
are
got
just
it.
going to be grabbed and put into some closet. That's not our system. This is a legal system. We are a democratic republic. We have laws that protect those who commit crimes. You are guilty until proven, I'm sorry, you are innocent until proven guilty. And so this doesn't say like someone's knocking on your door late at night. No, this says that you have the protections of the laws and that our laws will be enforced and honored, and that state and local authorities can work with our federal partners in law enforcement. It's common sense, and it should have happened 8 years ago. I think for Governor Healy, in order to be a leader, you have to be in the state and you have to care. And, you have to care about doing the job. And there's been multiple incidences where she's out of state, traveling across not just the country, but the world. Second, she failed to provide background checks as the leader of our state, the chief executive, on
We
all
went
the
over
people
that.
that are being welcomed into the Commonwealth from across the world. Right now, there's actually a study, believe it or not, a study about how to adequately vet people going on that's going to be done sometime at the beginning of May.
Oh
So for 3 years,
my
we have spent
my God.
$3 billion. We have had 3,000 pages of violent and public safety incidents occur in the shelter program from people who are not our residents. And just a month ago, we decided that we were going to try to figure out how we do background checks.
This is
This is the
ridiculous.
leadership. This is the expectation. This is the standard that our governor has set, and it is abysmal. And it is why 2026 could be a very unique election in Massachusetts, where for the first time since 1978, there is an incumbent who is in severe trouble.
You know what I have to say about that? He's right. He's right. And for him to go and speak up about these things, as I said earlier, this puts him in a pretty vulnerable position. But this doesn't only happen on the Republican side. You even have some more conservative Democrats that look at the audit, for example, where they want to make sure Massachusetts is fiscally sound, that they're doing the right thing, that there's levels of transparency, that there's levels of accountability. And every single time somebody tries to go beyond what the status quo is here, they get shot down. They get ostracized. They're put in a position where, they're not even welcome. They're not even welcome. And it's a really sad thing to do to these politicians because they're trying to make a change. Furthermore, I do have this document pulled up. I may read it for you, what he was talking about, the SHIELD Act. But anyway, what I wanted to tell you was this. The fact is, Maura Healey, we probably talked about this 2 months ago, where They're not doing proper background checks. You need to tell me you waited a year or 2 years or now like 3 years to do proper background checks? They're doing a study on background checks after you spend $3 billion? How could any possible human being be aligned with this stuff? How? How is it humanly possible? I could tell you right now, the town that I live in, our budget is completely messed up. I have not covered it because I just haven't. But this is happening all throughout towns in Massachusetts where the resources and schools and hospitals and so on and so forth, they're at a bottleneck. And nobody wants to talk about this stuff. Everybody is frustrated with this stuff, but nobody wants to put action and talk about these things. But let me do this for you. Let me bring up, let's see, I think I have the bill here. Yeah. Let me just go over this briefly. Let me move hang on. My bad. Okay. So let's see what it says here. It says, for purposes of this section, the term law enforcement agency shall include, but not be limited to, any state, municipal, college, or university police department, sheriff's department, correctional facility, prosecutorial office, court, probation office, or any non-federal entity in the Commonwealth charged with the enforcement of laws or the custody of detained persons. Upon receipt of this written request from the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement requesting detention of an individual on the grounds that there is probable cause that such person is a removable alien, law enforcement agencies shall comply with the terms of any detainer request received under any of the following circumstances. The individual has been convicted or charged with aggravated felony offense as defined in 8 U.S.C., including but not limited to murder, rape, sexual abuse of a minor, illicit drug trafficking, and illicit firearms trafficking. The individual has been convicted or charged with a violent crime as defined in 8 U.S.C. The individual has been convicted or charged with a criminal street gang offense. The individual has been convicted or charged with a terrorism offense. Any law enforcement agency employee shall comply with the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement detention request if said employee determines that the alien poses a threat to public safety or other compelling argument supporting the alien's detention. This act shall take effect upon its passage. God only knows if this will pass. And you know what the funny thing is about this entire thing? If you take a look at Governor Healy or Mayor Wu or so on and so forth, what they end up doing, there's even the Boston Police Commissioner, what they end up doing is they end up citing previous laws, rules, policies, whatever it is, to take the moral high ground in order to advocate for what they're doing. So it's almost like passing the buck a little bit, right? They're blaming what they're doing on the laws that are passed, which I understand completely. However, at the same time, you have people in office that are trying to pass these bills so that local police officers could support federal agents and honor those ICE detainers. Yet this stuff does not move. So in one hand, you have, again, all of these politicians that we talk about here that blame it on the laws, and something needs to be done, something needs to be fixed. And they realistically want something fixed from the source, which is at a federal level. But the fact is, you have people within your own building that is trying to fix this to support the majority of what people, I think the majority of what people want here, and yet these bills do not end up moving. Okay? They don't end up moving. And it is mind-boggling to me. The thing is, as soon, I'm telling you right now, once I think it was June or the end of June when we run out of money again, the $485 million that just got passed, I'm telling you, I think that if this evolves from there and something is not done from today up until that point, if they come scrambling, looking for more money or whatever they're going to do, I'm telling you right now, the people that aren't frustrated, they're like on the cusp, all right? They're like, it's like a sliver away from being frustrated with this because it's costing everybody money. It's costing everybody money, okay? That's the reality of this. And I want to see if I could even get this gentleman on the podcast because, again, when people speak up about these things and people are pragmatic, they're critical thinkers, and they're logical thinkers, you know, I think it deserves a more in-depth conversation to learn how we got here. How the hell did we get here where towns, municipalities, cities are literally running out of money to support people that did not come here legally, right? It doesn't make any sense. And the fact is, he was quoting the crimes that have happened. People are will pacify these things, okay? They shouldn't even be happening in the first place. These are crimes that should never happen in the first place, okay? Period. That's it. That's it for today's video, guys. Sorry for the slip-ups here, but I am watching and reading all this live. So anyway, have a good day. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.